Have you ever received criticism that left you completely shaken? That feeling of discomfort, shame, or even anger that seems to take over? Handling criticism is never easy, but how you respond to it can determine how it impacts your life. In today's video, you'll learn how to face criticism in a healthy way without feeling defeated or humiliated, turning these situations into opportunities for growth and self-awareness. Criticism is a part of life. Whether at work, in personal relationships, or even on social media, it's everywhere. Often it comes from people close to us, colleagues, family, or friends, which makes it all the more painful. Words have enormous power, and depending on the context and who delivers them, they can leave emotional scars. But why do we find it so hard to deal with criticism? The answer lies in our brain and how we interpret feedback. When you receive criticism, especially one that touches on a sensitive point, your brain enters a state of high alert. The amygdala, responsible for the stress response, reacts as if it were a real threat. This is called the fight or flight response. You might feel angry, defensive, or conversely, paralyzed and ashamed. This reaction, though instinctive, can prevent you from viewing criticism rationally. According to psychologist Brené Brown, author of Daring Greatly, the fear of criticism is closely tied to our vulnerability and desire for belonging, which explains why we often react so intensely. For example, imagine a coworker says, "Your report is confusing." Instantly, you might think, they believe I'm incompetent. But is that really true? Often, our automatic interpretations exaggerate the situation, intensifying our emotions and making it harder to handle feedback. Neuroscience studies show that the amygdala can overestimate social threats, especially in people who are already prone to self-criticism. The first step to handling criticism without feeling defeated is to learn how to separate what was said from how you feel. This requires practice and, most importantly, self-awareness. Ask yourself, is this criticism really about me, or is it just the other person's perception? This helps put things into perspective and prevents you from taking criticism as a personal attack. A helpful technique is to write down your emotions and thoughts immediately after receiving criticism. This simple exercise, known as journaling, can help you organize your ideas and reduce the intensity of your emotions in the moment. Another powerful strategy is to reframe criticism as a learning opportunity. Instead of thinking, "They're criticizing me because I'm incapable," think, "This is a chance to improve something I might not have noticed before." A study conducted by Stanford University revealed that people with a growth mindset, those who see criticism as an opportunity to learn, are more successful at overcoming challenges and achieving their goals. Carol Dweck, author of Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, emphasizes that viewing criticism as a growth tool rather than a threat to the ego is one of the greatest indicators of emotional resilience. If you've made it this far, please give this video a like. It's very important for YouTube to keep sharing my content. Additionally, it's crucial to identify the intention behind the criticism. Not all criticism is constructive, and knowing how to distinguish between the two can protect your emotional health. Ask yourself, was this criticism meant to help or to put me down? If it's constructive, such as professional feedback, it deserves attention and reflection. On the other hand, malicious or aggressive criticism can be ignored or approached cautiously. Daniel Goleman, an expert in emotional intelligence, highlights that destructive criticism often reflects more about the person delivering it than about the recipient. Let's talk about a practical example. Imagine you present a project at work and your boss says, "It's good, but it lacks organization." Instead of shutting down and thinking, "They didn't like my work," you could respond, "Thank you for the feedback. Could you give me an example of how I could improve the organization?" This approach not only demonstrates emotional maturity, but also helps turn criticism into a constructive dialogue. It also shows that you value learning and are willing to grow. Another essential point is not letting criticism define your self-worth. You are not what others say about you. Often, we internalize criticism as absolute truths, but they are merely one person's perception in a specific moment. Cultivating good self-esteem is essential to filtering criticism in a healthy way. Remember, criticism is not a final judgment on who you are, but just a point of view. Studies show that people with high levels of self-compassion are better able to handle criticism without internalizing it in a destructive way. If you've made it this far, please give this video a like. It's very important for YouTube to keep sharing my content. An effective technique for dealing with the emotional impact of criticism is mindful breathing. When you feel yourself getting nervous or frustrated by criticism, take a deep breath and count to 4 as you inhale and exhale. This calms your nervous system and helps reduce emotional reactivity, allowing you to respond with greater clarity and balance. Studies show that mindful breathing practices, such as those used in mindfulness, can reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by up to 20%. To solidify these strategies, consider keeping a criticism journal. Whenever you receive feedback, write down what was said, how you felt, and how you reacted. This helps identify emotional patterns and improve your responses over time. Additionally, revisiting constructive criticism can be an excellent way to track your personal growth. Research suggests that reflective writing strengthens the neural connections associated with emotional resilience. Another practical example. Imagine a friend tells you during a discussion that you are too insensitive. Your instinctive reaction might be defensive or even aggressive. Instead, you could pause, breathe, and ask, "Why do you feel that way? Can you give me an example?" This approach not only diffuses the conflict, but can also provide valuable insights into how to improve your relationships. Remember, acknowledging room for improvement isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of emotional intelligence and courage. Overcoming the impact of criticism and using it constructively is a process that takes practice, but it's entirely possible. Imagine facing criticism with confidence, using feedback to grow, and emerging from tough situations stronger than ever. These are skills you can develop over time, and the first step is to start applying them today. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What was the last piece of criticism you received, and how did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments to inspire others facing similar challenges. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips on transforming your emotions and achieving emotional balance. See you in the next video.